Hello and welcome to another episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. My name is Jacob and today got another unboxing video. This time though, we're not unboxing one specific figure, not even two. I got a whole bunch of figures in a little package of stuff that some kid was selling. So if I remember correctly, I'll just start opening it here while I tell this story. If I remember correctly, this was an eBay auction, and in the description it said that this kid had, I think his parent was selling the stuff, but he said he's selling his Godzilla figures because he's outgrown them, which I think is completely BS. But yeah, we'll see. He's probably gonna regret this decision one day. But in the meantime, I did get a whole bunch of little figures, so we'll just see how it looks in person and what we've got in here. So, my knife is doing a terrible job at opening this. It's just like tearing the paper. So we're just gonna use brutal force, and that's how we're gonna open this box. I do need the knife to cut through the tape, though. So the rest of it we can just open up with our normal methods. Okay, there we go. Alright, take a look at that. So first thing we got in here, a whole bunch of bubble wrap, and here it is. The piece de resistance. All the stuff. So, as you can see here, there's a lot of stuff in here. This box is actually quite hefty for a figure. Usually the figure boxes I get are really light, because Monster Arts figures are tiny and light, and X Plus figures are hollow on the odd time that I do get them, and other stuff like that. But this time we got a whole bunch of little figures, so... Oh, this is cute, a little... little guy again. I'm not even sure what brand this is. God, this writing is tiny. I think it's a little Japanese figure, actually, which is just adorable. I don't even remember this being in the listing. But we've got a whole bunch of little Gashapon figures. This is a gorgeous little Gashapon. Check that out. That just looks great. Little Gashapon guy again. Sorry about the lighting, it's pretty poor. It is quite late in the evening now, but I wanted to unbox this stuff before it got too dark or anything like that. Because I was out all day, so I only just got here, so it is about to get dark. Also ignore the children outside, neighbors. Got a bunch of other stuff. Wow, look at these. Little Godzilla Jr., we got a Heisei Godzilla. This is actually really nice. Got this Zilla figure. I think these are actually like these little bootleg figures that you can get pretty cheap online. And these are actually a lot nicer looking than I was expecting for this group of ones. Got a couple of other figures, all really nicely packed. Little Mecha Godzilla, which is not the typical Gashapon, because I do have the normal Gashapon of this guy, so maybe it's just like a completely different brand of figure, but really nice. 70s Mecha Godzilla. Oh, look at this, a little tiny Bandai, I think that's 2002 Godzilla. Does he have, yeah, he doesn't have the scar on his chest, so he is the Against Mecha Godzilla from 2002, I believe. Really cute. I have like a little anime Godzilla version of a Bandai in this scale, and they're really cute. I like these. What else have we got? We got our Burning Godzilla version of that same Heisei little mini thing, which I think is, again, one of these little tiny bootleg figures that you can find on eBay really cheap. And, this is the one. My one and only Muto figure. It is so difficult to get a Muto figure, and I mean, this one's nothing that special. It's just like a little tiny, very simplified one. And it's of the female Muto, which is kind of a shame because I prefer the flying one, the male Muto design. This one's just kind of really weird. But I'm happy to actually have one of these, so I can pair him up with some of my 2014 Godzillas. Even though you guys know I'm not huge on that film or design or whatever, I still want to have some Muto figures. Monster Arts, get on it. Moving on, we've got a broken bridge. So, this is one of those 2014 Godzilla set pieces things. Because those figures did come with these cool little building accessories. They're very toy-like, if, well, you know what I mean? We got these little broken buildings, but I like the design of them, that they do come with, like, you know, separation points where you can actually play with them and break them and all that sort of stuff. That's a cool design idea. I'm not a fan of the bright blue color or anything. I wish they would make these look more realistic, because, I don't know, personally, even as a child, I didn't really like the appeal of, like, every toy being really bright colors and all of this sort of stuff. Like, I liked it when it was, you know, appropriate to the toy, but when it's something like this, I would have preferred it to be accurate to a real building, where it's more grays and tan colors and all sorts of stuff. But got all of these little building bits. I don't even know how these fit together just yet. I'll figure that all out later, but yeah, we got all of these little bits. So obviously they came in the pack with the Muto, and this guy, a little baby 2014 Godzilla. Actually pretty nicely detailed for a figure of this size. He does look nice. He's made of solid plastic, hefty guy. Articulates at the legs, little arms here. So this is one of those little battle packs where, where's my Muto? Where he and the Muto would have been in the pack, as well as these buildings. So I wanted to get these, but in the secondary markets these are really expensive, and for whatever reason I either didn't find one in the stores back when the film was out, or I just didn't get it for whatever reason. But seeing the prices that some of those 2014, like even the really sort of danky cheap toys go for nowadays, I really should have invested in just collecting a bunch, even if it was just for collecting or just to sell off later and stuff like that. But whatever, I have some now. Anguirus, again, from those little bootleg mini cake topper figure sets, or whatever they called, that you can find pretty cheap on eBay. So I never really liked the look of them enough to actually pursue buying them, but since they came with all of this stuff, which again I just got in an auction, it is really nice to you know, get them that way. Any more of them? Yeah, one more Burning Godzilla. This guy is more of a pinkish red kind of a clear plastic that it is made of. Pretty nice. I think the detailing is kind of but for a figure of this size, it's pretty comparable to a typical Gashapon figure, so not too bad. Perhaps with some tweaks to the paintwork on, like, the face, these could be nice. Little tiny helicopter that went with those 2014 figures sets. Pretty nice. The propeller is way too chunky looking for a helicopter of this size, but what you gonna do? It's not even close to being in scale with this figure. Actually, this might scale all right with a Monster Arts of some sort. Perhaps one of the 50-meter tall Godzillas, and especially if you modify the propeller blades, it might look nice for that purpose. So yeah, that's a cool little accessory we could do something with. And more building. This random sponge. I don't know why that's in there, just padding. More building. Another green chunk of building. A little jet, which arrived, which came with, again, that Godzilla set. And that's pretty nice. I have methods that I can clone these sort of very simple small pieces using something called Oyamairu, or I don't know how it's pronounced or how it's spelt at the moment, but it's this Japanese product. You can find it as plastic clay, or some people call it blue stuff. And that stuff you can make really simple molds and then use epoxy putty to fill in those molds and recreate this stuff. And it's cheap and easy and reusable, and you don't need mold releases or anything like that for that stuff to work. So I've copied some Tamashii tanks, which I have a video that I've been meaning to put out for you guys for a long time, but for whatever reason I haven't yet. But I will get to that, of a tutorial on how to do that sort of stuff. Yeah, but enough about that. More building bits. And now we can get to all the other special stuff, which is wrapped up. Oh no, more building bits. First and foremost, we have this big chunky parcel, which is nice and heavy because I know exactly what it is. It is the NECA Godzilla 1996 burning version figure. This is a figure that I've actually owned before, and then I sold it off. But then recently, since it was really cheap and in this bundle, I figured, why the hell not? So, I was never a huge fan of this figure. I always thought it looked a bit off. I wasn't too big a fan of the scaling on it, and it was just kind of weird. And, Burning Godzilla is one of my favorite Godzilla designs. This figure of it, I thought, never really captured that design. Like, it's still a pretty cool figure, just in its own way. The fact that it's articulated, how chunky it is, all the good NECA stuff. But sculpt-wise, this is still very early NECA Godzilla line. Now they're doing amazing things. Like, I recently got the 1964 Godzilla NECA figure, and that one is just absolutely beautiful. And the box that the new NECA figures, the boxes they come in, are just gorgeous. I really wish they would remake this figure because I feel like the actual design, NECA can do better. Like, it's not terrible, and from a distance it looks really good. But when you start to look at it closely, the scaling is far too fine and doesn't look very Godzilla-like. Face looks really weird. It looks more like wolf-like or dog-like or something. Like the jaws, like the way the jaw is built seems a little too stretched out and long. And when you open the jaw, it kind of has that like weird underbite that I really hate with some of these figures. Where I don't know, something about that always bothered me. And just, I don't know, his feet look a little bit small. The proportions are a bit like, I don't know. It just never sat right with me, but for the price I got this for with this bundle, I'm happy to have this in my collection. And he's got cool spines. The spines are really well done on this guy, actually. So I'll give that to it. And also, I always thought this sort of burning effect was never that great on this guy. I wish they mixed in some like yellow purling or something in there just to brighten it up, because he's really just looks really dark, this orangey color. But those are my thoughts about this guy. I know a lot of people do really like this guy, but compared to the Monster Arts, which I know is so super duper expensive, especially these days, this one really doesn't hold a candle. But yeah, that's this guy. So what do we have? What else do we have? Got another little guy, which I actually already own this figure, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if he's the exact same model. I'll bring him in a sec. But this guy, oh, he actually broke through the plastic here. His little knee thing, knee rocket. So this is Mechagodzilla. I'm pretty sure it's the Bandai Creations version. Because a couple of years back they were really cheap on eBay for whatever reason, even though in Australia just Bandai figures in general aren't something you see very often, but online they were pretty cheap. But this is one of the few Bandai Creations, as opposed to just Bandai Japan figures, that they did really, really well. So yeah, the Showa Mechagodzilla is a really nice Bandai figure. And a figure that I already have, so I'll just bring that one in. So this is the 74, not the 75 Mechagodzilla. This is my original one here, and this is the new one that just came in the mail today. So now we got two Bandai Creations Mechagodzilla 74 figures, and they are really nice. So I'm actually really glad to have this in my collection. Even though I have two of them. I don't know what I'll do with them, but we'll see. And we got an Ultraman figure! My first ever actual Ultraman figure. I have a couple of Ultraman Kaiju Bandai vinyls, because they're actually pretty easy to find and for really cheap. So this is an actual Ultraman Ultraman Bandai vinyl. I'm not sure which version, because there are many versions now, but this is a really cool paint job. He kind of looks like a Harley Quinn or Spider-Man, kind of like a paint job, because he's really black and red and it's his motif. So he's made of a really squishy plastic. His arms can move around, can do whatever the hell this move is, and he can do some really awkward shit like that. So this is a pretty cool little Ultraman. I really love the face design, because this is a really classic looking face design. So there you guys can see his cool little bug-eyed face. I just love the Ultraman design. I've only seen a little bit of the original Ultraman series and the Netflix anime version, which is like a sequel to it. So I haven't seen much Ultraman, but I really want to get into it because, being a Godzilla, as big a Godzilla fan as I am, Ultraman is kind of a natural segue over, but just never really had, invested enough time to really get into it. But I'm really glad I finally got a little Suffobi of an Ultraman here. And is it a Bandai figure? Doesn't actually say. It's got this weird little marking under there. Sorry I have to like jam my hand into the camera. It's just the only way it'll autofocus anything. So yeah, little Ultraman. What's next? What are we... Oh, yes, this guy. A King Kong figure. The 2005 King Kong. Peter Jackson's version. So I actually have one of these figures. Not this exact figure. They made them with varying little gimmicks, so little buttons and things that made the arms do stuff. So I'm not entirely sure which version this is. The one that I had like one arm that held a fish and the other arm punches. So this guy, maybe he like beats his chest or something. I don't know. This guy looks a little bit more like he's generally more posable, and I don't know, the switch isn't really working, but this is one of those 2005 King Kong figures, and I'm not sure who made them, so we'll just quickly have a look. Playmates. This is a Playmates King Kong. Oh dear, that just reminds me of those Playmates Godzilla figures that they recently have been, there's leaked photos of that have been showing up, and they just look like really cheap Bandai Creation figures. And the Shin Godzilla looks like a rip-off of the NECA figure, but just worse. Oh man. I still want to get one though. Just to see how bad it is in person. And I'm a big Shin Godzilla fanatic, so I want to get that for that reason as well. But yeah, if any of you guys have seen those Playmates Godzilla figures in person, do let me know how they turn out, because I'm really curious what they're like in person. But yeah, always good to get another Kong figure, because they are pretty rare actually, surprisingly. But yeah, pretty cool. Not very accurate, but just a cool piece of toy history. Next we have, I don't know what this is, but let's find out. I swear this is more stuff than I actually remember seeing in the listing for this guy. Maybe not. Maybe I just didn't notice. Yeah. Another one of these 2014 Godzilla figures. Those kind of cheap ones that did a lot of weird shit. So this one's got a spastic tail. He has erectile dysfunction issues with his tail. I don't know. Oh, this is so dumb, but I'm really glad to have this guy. I like the detailing on them. The scaling is actually really nice. He's not very accurate. His head's a lot bigger than it was in the film, which I actually like. A very simplified and more rounded design for this guy, and he has those horrible 2014 hoof elephant feet on this guy, and this really mutilated weird tail. But as a gimmicky little toy, it's really cool, and I'm glad I have one of these, because for whatever reason I didn't really pick any of these up in the store back when they were, you know, new and fairly cheap to get in stores, because we actually got some of these figures here in Australia. But with the Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019 film, we didn't get any figures in stores here from that film, which just really pissed me off, because instead of it being by whatever brand made these, WBEI, Webby, I don't know what brand made these figures, but I think these are actually Bandai. Perhaps they're a branch of Bandai. I don't know, but instead, all the figures were made by Jakks Pacific. You know, aside from the ones that came later, like the NECA and the Monster Arts, but just the general ones that they have, you know, for children, that are kind of, you know, the non-collector toys. That were, look similar to this one from the 2019 film, were all made by Jakks Pacific, and I even messaged them on their Facebook page, asking if they were distributing their 2019 King of the Monsters figures in Australia, and they said no, which really bummed me out. And indeed, they didn't distribute any of them, and they're so expensive to import from the US or wherever, or England is another place they had them, over here to Australia, so I didn't get any of those, which really bums me out, because I wanted that really big one. Not the massive Jakks Pacific one. I actually have that one from the 2014 film, because they did sell those in stores, and I actually didn't buy it from stores. I got it off Gumtree for like $50-$60 or something, so it was a bit cheaper. But yeah, that's enough talking about other toys that isn't this thing, but are similar, and we can just move on, because we're almost done. The last thing in this unboxing is in this bit of bubble wrap, and it is a little Kiryu Bandai vinyl. I actually have a similar figure to this somewhere as well. Jeez, I got a lot of figures, but I love them. Look at this guy. Very, very lacking in paintwork, but he does have his weird shoulder cannon things painted blue, a nice sort of dark metallic blue. And it's always great to have a Kiryu figure, because I love Kiryu. He's just cool. But some more little knickknacks. Two more, I think, in this. A blue burning Godzilla from that bootleg cake topper set. So again, full solid plastic, really tiny, same details, really basic and sort of meh paint job, but you know, cool. I like him. That's why I'm chucking him over there. And a little bit underwhelming for our final figure. We have more building bits and another jet. But it is a clear plastic version of that burning Godzilla. Not much more to say about this one. It's just really gimmicky and fairly cute and is what it is. So yeah, big bundle of Godzilla. I shouldn't be so mean to it. I should be more delicate with it because it did get posted and wrapped up really nicely in this shoebox and in bubble wrap. So I'll be more delicate to it. But I just wanted to show for effect. There is so much of this stuff. Looking back at all of these things, my favorite things from this whole bundle, probably this guy here, which is that like mini 2001 Bandai vinyl Sofubi figure, and this guy, this little really weird Gigan. Like, look at him, he's bizarre and really cute. I think he might actually be like a made in Japan Bandai vinyl by the looks of it. It's like an actual like little fancy one, like stylized one. I wonder what year this guy was made in. It just has something written in Japanese down here. And on the other foot, in very tiny writing, it says TM and something 2004 Toho China. So doesn't really say, but I like this guy because he's like the most unique thing out of this whole bundle here. Because I do have repeats of some of these figures. And what else do I like? I like this Gigan from the Cake Topper set. I love Gigan. So to have all these little Gigans, it melts my heart. The more Gigans in my life, the better. I'll figure out how to put this building stuff together, and I'll just play around with that for a bit and see if I can use it in a display and all that. Like, this bridge is really cool. I'm half tempted to paint it up, maybe even like a gray or a red, and use it in some of my displays. I've seen people do that because this is actually nicely detailed. And I wish they did more stuff like this, because big companies like I don't know, who's this made by, Playmates or somebody, or Bandai or something. But big companies that make like these cheap children's toys, if they mass produce a lot of stuff like this, it would be so awesome for us guys who really want to do like figure displays and just to have some really easy buildings to use, because they're not hard to manufacture. They're really simple shapes, just really geometric shapes, so you can design them pretty easily, and then they're just like cast in plastic, just like any old cheap crap. You need to have a big infrastructure to do something like that, and Tamashii Nations like to have a premium on their products, so their building sets are way too expensive. Also, I love this little, what's his name, Ultraman figure, because like I said, I don't have an Ultraman. I've got a Jet Jaguar money bank figure, but it's the closest thing I got to Ultraman, but now I actually have an Ultraman. Awesome! Thanks for bearing through my rambling in this video and the really bad lighting and all of that jazz, and I wish you guys a really happy collecting experience, and hopefully you can find some cool deals on eBay as well. And if you are that kid that outgrew these figures, come on man, you know these things are awesome. You're gonna regret this. Just, I hope you pursue the Godzilla passion again one day, and that's where I'll leave this video for you guys. So yeah, may all your vinyl be radiated vinyl, and with that, over and out.